This meeting is being recorded.
Hello, wonderful. This is Sarah, and I'm here with Carrie Severson. And if you were listening to this, you've had something pop up in your life that you didn't expect to happen. You thought things were all magically going to work out, or you thought there was going to be a really happy ending. And then there was a huge bump in the road. Maybe it was a rejection. Maybe it was a no. Maybe it was a death. Maybe it was a divorce. We've all had these things in our life. And one of the things I am so passionate about talking about is finding those creative solutions even amidst the obstacles, which is why I am so happy to have Carrie here. She is the author and chief executive officer of the Unapologetic Voice House, a hybrid book publishing business. And she's been in the storytelling industry for nearly 25 years and has such an amazing story that she's going to tell us. Hello, Carrie. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks so much. Yeah, I love talking about solutions and storytelling. So this is a perfect thing for me. Thanks so much.
That is perfect for me as well. So Carrie, you dealt with a lot of rejection as you built your business, right? Tell us what happened.
Well, I started writing this book, Unapologetically Enough, in 2014. And I pitched agent after agent after agent. And I did all the things that you want to do as a writer if you're looking for a traditional deal. I went to conferences. I became friends with agents. I joined the big writing groups. I did all the things, checked all the boxes. And I mean, I even went to like cold pitch slams where you're up there with like 8 other writers. You're pitching a table of agents and they're giving you immediate feedback, which is super scary if you've never done that. I don't know if I recommend it. It's super scary, but so I pitched my book. At the time it was called Flirting with Burnout. And I pitched it to, 50 agents and did how you're supposed to do it. One agent at a time, rejection, just kept on moving along. And I started to notice the same kind of response. I love this book. Your pitch is perfect. Your proposal is amazing. You don't have a big enough following. And so I just kept on going. And then I retooled the book after so many rejections. You're like, okay, something's off. I retooled the book. I worked on my platform. I did what I did. I started a Facebook group. I started connecting with more people on LinkedIn, started posting more content, started a YouTube channel. Again, check all the boxes, and retooled my book to include my IVF experience and my fertility journey, and started pitching agents that way, and started getting the same responses: rejection. You don't have a big enough platform. When I started to notice that agents were using really big author names, comparing my work to Brene Brown, comparing my work to Gabby Bernstein, comparing my work to Elizabeth Gilbert, when I was like, I'm being rejected because I don't have 100,000 followers. I don't have close to 1 million followers. That's a different story. I don't know what else. I can't build 1 million followers overnight. At least I didn't know how to do that. So I actually put the book down. I considered all other publishing options. And for some reason, when I went into the self-publishing space, I got like, my intuition was just like hard no. So I didn't take action there. I let it sit for a little bit. And one morning I woke up and I'm highly connected, intuitive, believe in signs and all that jazz. I woke up and I got this like imprint on my heart: be the house, be this thing. And it took me about 9 months to create the Unapologetic Voice House, but I did it. And I did it in response to this major pivot I had to create for myself, because what I really wanted was a traditional deal, but I wasn't getting it. And so I created the Unapologetic Voice House, which is a hybrid house. We do have traditional outlets for distribution. And that was my solution to my book. It's been in business since 2019. We have published maybe 35 books. And my book, Unapologetically Enough, which is the foundation of why this business started, is finally dropping May 24th, 2022.
Yay! Congratulations.
Thank you.
And if I I want to bring up a couple of things that you said
Yes.
to our listeners. Because I felt my own emotion spring up when you said your pitch was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Your book was great. And there's this idea that if I could just get a little better, it'll work out. Or if I could
Yep.
just, I call it smart girl syndrome, which
Yep.
means we just keep working a little harder,
Right.
not working. And what you did so beautifully is like, it's not working in this one lane. Can I solve the same problem, which is being an amazing published author and getting this work out into the world in a different lane of my life?
Yeah. Yeah. So this is synchronicity. This is how magic kind of works in my life. When I did all the things that I wanted to go meet agents and all this stuff, I went to conferences and I let my intuition sort of guide me on what conference to go to. Regardless of where it was, I was going to find a way to get there. So I ended up in New York City at a conference. It was 2014 or 2015. My intuition was like, take a longer lunch. And so again, I let myself experience that. I walked around New York City, found myself sitting outside Whole Foods in Columbus Circle. And I noticed that there was a woman staring at me. And so for the first time in my entire life, I looked at a stranger and I was like, can I help you? And she was like, I'm sitting here trying to figure out how not to get burned out in my job. And I'm like, oh, I can totally help you. I'm a recovering burnout. And my book really is about my burnout journey. The first part of my book is about my burnout journey. And I'm like, what do you do? And she's like, I'm a literary agent. And so that's how things happen when we're willing to put ourselves in different comfort zones, different lanes, like you said, and just trust that things are happening. If we have a will, there is a way. And so that relationship has been an ongoing relationship for 8 years. My book is published. It drops soon. I thought of that woman for the first time in a long time a couple of weeks ago. And I looked her up and she started her own agency and I pinged her and I was like, hey, do you remember me? We met over Pinkberry. And she was like, oh my gosh, I tell people about our meeting all the time. And I'm like, my book is coming out. Can I send it to you? And she was like, I would love to read it. And so, yeah, who knows? That's how it worked. I mean, I don't know if anything will come of that. I'm putting it out in the universe that she and I become something down the road, but yeah, the number of lanes I shifted and the flow that I allowed into my life because of this is changed my life for sure.
Well, and it's two pieces. And I think it's hard to get both right. There's many people talk about the masculine and feminine energy, right? Mm-hmm. The flow and hustle. And so when you were talking and you said, oh, if there's a will, there's a way, I heard the hustle. Mm-hmm. And then your ability to shift and change lanes was total the other flow. Piece of it, right? Yeah. Which is total flow. And I do want to point that out because I think people are I see some people who just have no direction or hustle and they're just kind of like, well, maybe it'll magically work out. And then I see some people who it's like, I'm just going to pound the pavement and they can't see the forest for the trees.
Yep.
If that makes any sense. So I do want to commend you and point out to our audience the beauty of both.
Oh my gosh. You have no idea how much I needed to hear that now, because as I'm preparing for my book to launch and like super intimate details about my life to be read by total strangers, I work with my coach on balancing my energy all the time because major possibilities are working behind the scenes for me and this beautiful creation I spent 8 years working on. Things that would pop in June, July, and August that would change my world, I would hope, impact women around the country, if not the world, in a massive way. And I'm not just saying that to shoot just shoot the BS, that there are legitimate, huge opportunities in the works, and not getting caught up in the hustle and the bustle and the masculine energy and allowing myself to receive that is honestly where I'm at right now, because I did the work. I put it out there. I pitched. I did work hard, and now it's allowing it to happen. And so leaning back and being in that flow again is my daily check. I'm like, where's my heart? How can I tap into my heart more and expand my heart more so I can receive? That's my jazz right now.
Well, and that's an important point as well, because I think we try to find like the let's say it's something silly like a diet. And it's like, okay, what's the one pill I can take that I never have to worry about my weight again? And it is kind of that daily habit. Like, okay, the ebb and flow, the masculine and the energy. I heard someone talk about one time about the seasons of business. Tony Robbins is talking about it too, but I really liked what this person said, because he talks about preparing for winter. Tony Robbins talks about preparing for winter, but she talked about really the seasons of planting, right? And so you had all these years of planting that are really coming to harvest, but it's hard when you're in those different seasons. Harvest season's good. The winter's bad. The spring's kind of scary because you're like, things are sprouting up and you don't know if someone's going to pick them or stomp on them, or, it's scary.
Totally. Yeah, I understand that very well. I've never been very good at the seasonal things. I've been really good at the day to day. And like, I admire entrepreneurs who are able to foresee they have this big program, then they're going to push it, and then they're going to let this ride. For me, the book business last year was just a huge, we published like 18 books last year alone, which was way too much for, it was double my quota. I have a quota with a distribution company that does distribute out to all the retailers. And that was for a sophomore house, that was double what my quota was. And I definitely felt the impact of that. And so figuring out how to be in a seasonal, I would love to be able to do that with my business. And that will take some practice, but I feel like I'm really good at the day-to-day shifting. And when I am tapped in to my heart and I am aware of what I'm doing and where I'm going and how this is expanding, and if I get a burst of energy for like, oh, I should talk to this person, I should follow up with this person, I take action. And then I give myself the grace to, there's nothing here today. There's nothing here right now. I'm not going to try to force something. That's one of my biggest lessons, is that like the forcing of things and the pounding and the pushing led to burnout. And I have to have a really healthy boundary with that. Otherwise, a workaholic, lots of, pain, health issues. I can't do it.
No one can.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what does being unapologetically enough mean to you?
I love that question. So it took me a long time to accept that there is a divine time to everything, and the universe does have my back, and that everything is working out in my favor. It took me a long time to accept the fact that like I am whole, perfect, and complete in every moment of my day, regardless of how I look, what I dress, what my attire is that day, what I'm doing with my day. I am unapologetically enough in every moment, and accepting myself as that, regardless of what society says about me, is not my truth. I am unapologetically enough as I am today, just me. So that was my big aha moment, that, I'm 40 something. I'm a plus size. I'm a bonus mom, don't have children of my own. I'm an entrepreneur, not a 9-to-5. Like regardless of the titles and all the things that society could put on me, I had to accept myself for me first in every moment of the day.
Do you have any best practices for learning to accept yourself?
Tuning into my breath. Like, breath work is, I think, a cliche maybe, or it's hard for people to understand the importance of that, but meditation is something I have been doing for 20 years.
Wow. 20 years. That's great.
Yeah. And now, being able to just sort of like do it by myself without music, lying on the floor, whatever, in any space, being still and allowing breath to come through my body actually did help me tap into a deeper level of emotion that I had to get to in order to release some of the pent up energy and the pent up pain and the pent up like head trash that I was keeping so far behind the wall that I wouldn't even allow myself to feel it or think it or believe, let it come out, because it was going to be hard for me to embrace that part of me, the pieces of ourselves that we don't like to show anybody, or beating myself up because I didn't look like her and I didn't have this much money and I didn't do that. When I was able to embrace all that jazz, that's really where it started for me. And getting still and allowing my brain to settle so I could feel that stuff that I had to feel was really where it started for me.
So after someone reads your book, how do you think they'll be changed afterwards?
Well, my big hope is that they learn how to reframe what the concept of success means to them and what the concept of self-love means to them. I hope that they're able to recognize that, like going back to your point about the masculine and the feminine, the hustle and the flow, like there is two sides to all of us. And just because you're not running ragged every moment of every day does not mean that you aren't successful. You could be doing anything and claim success. It has to be a personal thing. So redefining what success means to you, I think, is one of my big hopes and takeaways. The self-love piece, we're so good at talking about self-care, but as women, I don't believe we talk about self-love a lot. And that idea that self-love and being unapologetically enough are hand in hand. We have to learn how to love ourselves at a cellular level in order to truly accept ourselves. And learning how to do that is one of the takeaways that I really hope women get. It took me a long time to figure that out.
And I love that. I heard one time something about self-care versus self-maintenance versus self-love. It's so often I think the self-love conversation gets swept into, or self-care. I'm getting my nails done. I took a bath. Some of these things that's really more into self-maintenance. Right? But the beauty industry, L'Oreal, you're worth it. It's like, okay, you're worth it. They kind of programmed us to think, well, self-love and self-care means taking care of my body rather than my soul, or my finances, or my success, or the dark stuff, or my relationships, or self-care can be so many hard things, and then self-love can be so many beautiful things that have nothing to do with a new outfit or
right. Yeah, I learned how to my book really does showcase a number of different elements: burnout, my dating as a entrepreneur, and then my IVF experience. And I ended up really sick after IVF, so sick that I was bedridden for a while. And I learned how to love myself by being completely still, because I couldn't move. And so the only thing that really worked were my eyes and my brain. I could look around the room and I would close my eyes and I would take deep breaths and I would think of all these lovely thoughts about myself, like my skin. I love my cells. I love my organs. I love my skin, and like really let that kind of sink in while underneath the covers, letting myself cry, loving myself the most in moments like that is really where it started to shift for me. It's those are very personal things, right? How we learn how to love ourselves.
And I'm giggling because you said something that I said something you needed to hear as far as the ebb and flow and that kind of thing. We're basically talking about every time I've ever had a coach. They're like, wow, you have a really quick tempo. Wow, do you ever slow down? Wow, do you? So it's really interesting, as things are magic and meant to be. You and I met yesterday online, and here we are.
Right.
And speaking self-love, even together.
Yeah. Being super tender. And it's a daily thing. You have to like remember, it's we go through seasons of our life to learn something, but these things that I've written about, I have to remember at every point of the day so that I don't become burned out again, that I'm constantly re-examining what my definition of success is, regardless of what society says. And then that I am loved first and foremost by myself, so that I can accept it from, my husband and my family, and give it out fully without any attachments. There are a number of really good nuggets in this book, and I hope it reaches the hearts of the women that need it the most.
And where can people find your book?
It is available May 24th, anywhere books are sold. You can always come over to unapologeticallyenough.com and check out a way to get it online if you want from there.
Awesome. Any last words of wisdom from Mrs. Carrie today?
Yeah, I love the concept of shifting lanes when you're up against when you reach a dead end. It doesn't mean it's dead. It just means that you got to go in reverse and find a left turn somewhere, try a different angle.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, you are a creator, right? You've created a business, you've created a book, you've created stories throughout your life. And so for our listeners, sometimes we think of creativity as being able to make up a song, but I want to also think about creativity as being able to solve a problem, of being able to change lanes, of being able to tap into grit in that creative space, right?
Yep, absolutely. It's necessary.
It's necessary to get what you want and move forward. I mean, I guess you can stay stuck, but absolutely necessary to get unstuck. Thank you, Carrie, so much. You guys check out the book, and thank you for helping us become unapologetically enough. Great conversation.
Welcome. Thank you.